someone else can do the calculations, but they'll be 40% more efficient from normal provision of water. In terms of when stage 1, 2, 3 water provisions come in at some stage in the future, and I suppose that's what we're all expecting, they'll also apply to this area. So not only will they be 40% more efficient than houses built in this area of Weston Creek, but stage 1, 2, 3 water restrictions will also apply to that area as well.
That's going to be such a high density population. I don't think I need to mind.
Sorry, I'm just giving this lady the
Oh, I'm
floor,
sorry.
and then I'll come across to you.
Thank you. I've got 4 parts to my question. Yeah. It relates to the Wright and Coombs development. Do you have a diagram of that? The Duffy, Cotter Road, Uriara Road.
Yeah, there you go.
So a lot of detail there.
So there's, just so everyone knows, that's North Weston, that's Cotter Road, and that's the pond that we're talking, that's Weston Creek, there's Holder, there's Duffy, that's that Stromlo Forestry Settlement, and that's right, and that's Coombe over there.
Coombs at the back. Coombs is north of Wright.
Oh, sorry, that's right there. Yeah. That's right to the left, and Coombs is on the right.
So the areas of concern that I had were related to houses being built very close to Cotter Road and Uriara Road, and the contrast between the density of that development and the new Mount Stromlo Cycle Park, and the access along Cotter Road to link cyclists who might be mountain biking, travelling through different sort of green spaces. Apparently there's a larger buffer zone, is that correct?
Do you want me to?
You can answer that bit first.
Okay. In terms of, that's Stromlo Forest Park here. You may be aware that's about the entrance to it up here currently. Thanks. That's the current entrance to Stromlo Forest Park there. That's Uriara Road here, and then Cobbs Crossing sort of runs off that way. That's Cotter Road. In terms of the intention here is that there'd be a wide buffer. I mean, this is basically a mountain of recreation facilities in terms of cycling, equestrian, running, and all sorts. And it's been designed to international standard, which I'm sure many of you are aware. In terms of some of the access, in terms of cycling and trunk cycling, what we've identified here is an area about 80 metres wide. As I mentioned before, that's if you think about Northbourne Avenue, that's 50 metres wide. It's half again, that sort of scale, for cycle paths, for equestrian trails, off-road, so we'll be able to go off-road and underneath roads that are being constructed, go through open space, connect to the existing ford here, I'm in terms of equestrian here, so that will accommodate cycling, equestrian and runners. In terms of, we're also looking at having a separate, I think the TANs at the moment, Territory and Municipal Services, are looking at constructing on-road cycling along Cotter Road currently, and we're also looking at having a secondary cycle path on the south side of Cotter Road to connect up to this underpass here, which allow to get through to the recreation facility here and onto the trunk cycle path that goes into the city. You've got some more.
You talked about wider roads in North Weston, but what's the widths of roads in this new Coombs and Wright area, and also the verge widths for planting of street trees? I understood at one stage they were to be only 1.5 metres, which is a lot like in some areas of Gungahlin, and you wouldn't be able to grow mature street trees, so we'd end up with trees dying, and with narrow roads, people parking on the verges, killing the trees that are growing there, and we just have a sea of roofs.
Okay. So, with regards to North Western, yep, the government's made a decision. We do have standards, and they're not quite as generous as the standards that applied 20, 30 years ago through the when the NCDC was developing suburbs. But in this area here, we've committed to those 18 metre wide road reservations. Through the rest of Longlow, the standards would apply, and in general they're about 17 metres. Some of those earlier subdivisions you're talking about are in some of the earlier parts of Gungahlin, when there was post-self-government. There was a lot of different interpretations of the standards because they just come in. This government came in a number of years ago, 5-6 years ago, and committed itself to improving the standards for subdivision and the outcomes in new estates. And so what we have now is a commitment to improve standards in new estates, and you'll see Ford and Bonner and Franklin and Harrison are some of the more recent tangible, on-the-ground examples of that. Prior to that was legacies of previous administrations. But that's the 1.5 metre verges isn't part of standards.
One more question? We do have to move through.
With the potential bottleneck appearing down at the northwestern area with the Cotter Road intersection, what will prevent people using Newcombe Drive as a rat run to get through this to the south, to the Tuggeranong area? Or is there any? Is there any sort of impact assessment on Newcombe Drive at the top of Duffy, which is currently used as a shortcut to get through to the southern suburbs?
And the question was regarding whether Newcombe Drive to the west of Duffy would be a rat run for people wanting to go. I'll take it through to Tuggeranong and say, yeah, probably do now. The modelling that we're looking at will require some augmentation of some roads. The key ones initially will be ensuring that this is the major road for commuters. If through use of this area, this road here we're seeing as being a minor road. It's not the major road. Is this one here? This is a commuter road. This is the one where connect up to the group centre from Longlow and connect further up to the Belconnen Town Centre and Jamison. So in terms of commuters, this road here is the one that is the major commuter road. That road there. On one side. That road there is the major commuter road that goes up. This road here would be a minor road. It'd have a lot of friction along it and would be designed to discourage that sort of commuter traffic. Notwithstanding that, upon construction, that would be monitored, and if necessary, there'd be some further friction put along Newcombe Drive. And I suspect it probably needs it now anyway.
Well, it was playing several years ago and didn't go ahead.
Okay, I have a comment and then a question. My comment is that I observe that many of the house street signs are still facing full west, which prohibits sustainable housing development or sustainable building in each house. That's an observation. The question that I'd like to ask is, what's the development gazettal process, and is it going to slow down or cease during the election campaign so it doesn't sort of just get swallowed up and pass through while we're all busy looking at the election?
Well, I can assure you my preference would be to be in this situation about a year ago. But here we are today. We're government, we progress at the appropriate pace that we're not necessarily mindful of the election. We are mindful in terms of sitting days because we have to be mindful about how we progress our statutory processes and key dates that we go for. But the flavour of the government is not one that we're bureaucrats. Hopefully we'll be here before and after each election. Frank and fearless advice. So we're progressing now. You can decide whether there's you're not getting an appropriate hearing or not. You can lobby the minister and he can make his own mind up about how he wants to respond or otherwise to you and your approaches. But in terms of how we're, the planning authority, responding to the issues that we've heard and what we see as appropriate, and ultimately the minister and the assembly are the adjudicators of this. This is where we've got to. It's still in progress, but this is we're just letting you know.